Low Dutch angle interior shot of a woman stood on a landing at the top of a grand staircase. Mid-40s, you'd guess. She's looking out of a grand arched window on the snowdrift below. As the camera tracks across to behind her shoulder, we hear a voice. From our angle, we're unsure if the woman is speaking or if this is an internal monologue. With me long enough, and you'll think you've spotted it. Is that the drifty haze of flakes eddying against ground? Or could it be the pad and twitch and scamper of animal darting from bank to hedge? And what matter, she says. What matter, she says, what matter when if I climb down, run out, search on foot? What would be left? Small footprints, shallow, half-filled divots, if even those. Gone. Gone in the gone. In the gone, she says. hide and to be away, but to always be hidden. She takes a sip from her glass of wine. When the creature wants to be found, its fur still blends grey on grey in the dusk snow. When the creature wants to be found, the creature still cannot be found. And so we must all wait until the snow has melted. And hope the huddled shape in the cracked grass is white, she says, and not red. exhausting, you know. Sometimes it feels like I'm the only one stopping this whole town sliding down a river and out to the sea, washing away. And then where will we be? She still stood in the window, but something has changed. She looks tired, or the tiredness has reached her face. Job, you know. My business is joy, not this, she says. But if nobody else can hold it together, then it'll fall apart. No matter. And sometimes I long for that, don't you? Sometimes don't you just long for nothing? I can see myself tearing my linens off the bed and throwing them out of the window, breaking down the bed frame into splinters, scraping the wallpaper from the walls with my hands until there's only plaster, and then gouging the plaster away, soft as wet clay, until it's just the foundations, ripping up the carpets, the floorboards, knocking down the struts so the slating falls like wind chimes at my feet. By the time the others notice, it's too late. The top floor's gone. Floor by floor, I work, room by room, until there's nothing left. But there's never nothing left, is there? I could shatter the windows into shards, ground down the shards to sand, but then what of the sand? What of the splinters, the shards, the tatters? The next morning arrives, and there's no nothing, there's just glass in my feet and nowhere to take a fucking shower. So then I dream of leaving. I dream of opening my bedroom door, walking to the opposite end of the room for a run-up, sprinting for the window. I ball myself up, crash through the pane. You see me fall in slow motion, she says. See me tuck down as I hit the ground in a perfect forward roll, land and sprint for the trees and keep running. Running until I find somewhere else. Maybe we could go together, she says. Maybe we could go together. We could go anywhere. We could go to Hull. Or Riyadh. Archangel, Algiers, Porto Novo, Krakow, Budapest, Reykjavik, Winnipeg, Hokkaido, Vermont, Sao Paulo, Albergaveni, Punta Arenas, Delta of the Nile, Melbourne, La Réunion, Knowsley Safari Park, Dublin, Kathmandu, Easter Island, Ulaanbaatar, Dubrovnik, the Great Pyramid of Giza, Baghdad, Ankara, Cleethorpes, Edinburgh, the North Pole, Jakarta, Ho Chi Minh City, Yangon, Darjeeling, Mars. We could go anywhere. But wherever we go, there'll be something, she says. Wherever we go, there'll be ground under our feet, and people, most likely, and arguments, and misunderstandings, and fallouts, and drama, and 300-word text messages that you send and then delete 2 minutes later, and then resend after you've unsent it because you'll know that the other person has seen the fact that you've deleted the first message and will think that it's worse than whatever it is that you've said. So you rewrite it as best as you can from memory, and then you realise that you'd forgotten one of the 3 important things that you meant to say in the message, and you need to go in and edit it, and you can tell that they've seen the fact that you've edited it. There are voids in space. There are these areas in space where it's just unexpectedly sparse. There's just this whole lot of where you'd expect to see stars and planets and rocks and everything else that you expect in space. There's just almost nothing. And I could go there. Like, imagine just floating through this area of space, and you could float for lifetimes upon lifetimes. You could float for longer than the human race has been in existence before ever coming into contact with anything else. But that whole fucking time you're there, you'd still be there with yourself, right? There wouldn't be nothing because you'd be there. And so we're just left with tomorrow, wherever that is, whatever there is to make of that. You wonder who she's been speaking to this whole time. This is just a movie after all. But she's gone quiet and she's just looking out the window. Back in the snow. Take it easy.